It's your girl, Seer, and I'm back with your reading. Finally. Lots of technical difficulties. Same with Aquarius. Every time I get started, I get like 18 minutes in, 20 minutes in, and the reading would stop. So we're going to give this another shot, okay? Right out the gate, you guys got Veiled Dancer and Be Flexible in reverse. And then you have avoid the whirlpools of emotion, for to get caught up in one is to drown spiritually. All right, being a veil dancer means you probably have the gift of sight. You might not have all of it, where you might not be able to interpret dreams. You might not be a dreamer. You might not be that kind of seer or have that kind of sight. But as a veil dancer, you're probably a worshiper. You probably enjoy spiritual things. If you go to church, synagogue, or any other religious events or affairs or congregations, you probably really enjoy them. You probably like the community. You probably like the atmosphere, the positivity, the music, the praise. You like that oneness with your creator. You might not see it that way, but subconsciously, it's where it's coming from. You've probably seen things that you can't explain, had experiences you can't explain, people that don't understand. And as a veil dancer, especially if you're one that does not realize that you are one or understand what you're going through, you're probably having trouble adapting to it. A lot of people are leveling up in their spiritual giftings and talents. And those who are being called out, if you're new to it and you're just starting your walk in the shadow walk, if you're just starting learning anything about the active spiritual giftings, you're probably having trouble with it, honestly, which would leave it hard to be flexible and go with the flow, because you don't understand the flow to go with. You don't understand the material that you're working with. You get it in theory but not in actuality because you're new to it. And if you are old to it, you're someone who's been in the game for a while. You've been doing your shadow work, you've been doing your healing, breaking generational curses, welcoming in your generational blessings. You still could have trouble going with the flow because you're being leveled up. You're being promoted. You're getting a download of new giftings, higher spiritual clearances. And with that comes more responsibility. And of course, kind of like with management, you could be a sales associate and then get promoted to assistant manager and then manager. And with every level, you have more responsibilities, you have more duties. And with those responsibilities and duties, you have more liability for those beneath you. The same happens in the spiritual world. Okay, so those who tend to be spiritual leaders in the community, they are held to a higher standard in the sight of God because they know better. All right, to do what you need to do, whether you are aware of your gifting and are actively using your gifting and trying to benefit others with your gifting, or if you're new, you want to avoid everybody's drama. You want to avoid the whirlpools of emotion. You really will drown spiritually and it's not anything intentional, but you want to help people, and there's people that you can't help. They have to do things for themselves and they're not ready to do it, and they'll just keep on in the same negative pattern and cycle, draining you of your resources. God needs you to avoid those type of people, because what he has for you is special. And with Veil Dancer, we'll come back to that one. The mermaid is reminding you that your hair is your crown and glory. Take care of it. Remember your sacred tools of comb and brush. In order to avoid this whirlpool of emotion and to not drown in the negative spiritual energy of those in your environment, you have to detangle your mind and you have to soothe your spirit. And the way to do that is by physically taking care of yourself. You've heard me say it once to 1,000 times. What happens in the physical happens in the supernatural, and vice versa. So if you're combing out your hair in the physical, what does that translate to in the spiritual? That translates to you combing out the knots in your mind for clear thought. All right, the way we comb out our hair and we can run our fingers through it, no knots, no hassle. That's clear thought in the spirit. With the brush, you're smoothing down the shaft of your hair follicles, all right, which helps seals in moisture, helps keep ends from breaking off and fraying and being a poof ball, and saves from damage. When you calm down your spirit and you look at things from a grounded standpoint and a grounded perspective, it's easy to see who's causing the drama, what's causing the drama, what to avoid, what not to avoid, all right? With your veil dancer, there's a level of divinity that goes with that kind of access, a kind of awareness almost that you should have, because to dance through the veil is literally crossing through to the supernatural and then coming back through to 3D. And it's like you're spraying heaven, you're carrying heaven. To be a veil dancer, you carry the essence of heaven upon you. Okay? Your bowl has a crack in it and your resources are slowly being drained. There's a story that goes with that card, one that we've heard, a lot of us heard, at least I did growing up in these parts, where there's a guy who was going to the local pond and carrying, to get his water and everything for his farm, but he didn't realize that there was cracks in his containers, in his vessels. So as he goes home after filling them up, he always ends up with less water than he had when he originally had it home. And he never understood it. It wasn't until later that he realized that the flowers along his path to the creek was all beautiful and very lush. And it was because he watered them along his way. So what that means is you're like a bowl, and your resources are contained within you. If you're damaged and you're not taking care of yourself, your resources are going to seep out of you. All right? Like the water leaked out of his containers and watered the ground and made the flowers bloom and flourish, your crack is seeping out on those around you, and everybody else is flourishing but you. You need to check your resources and make sure, like, it could be anything. Even it doesn't even have to be people that you know. It could just be like an old account. Say Hulu or something, and you forgot about it, and it's just steadily taking a charge out of your account. $7.99, $7.99, $7.99. Small enough you don't notice it, but it's large enough that 7, 14, 28, it adds up. So check your resources, make sure, there's no holes that need to be plugged. Underneath your veil dancer, you've got a long journey ahead of you. Channel the albatross for endurance. You were built for this in reverse. Followed with Reiki in the upright. God is always on time in the upright. And then you're a dream walker in the upright. So you got a long journey. It tells me that whoever I'm reading for, whichever of you Leos or Leo risings, or Leo Venuses. You guys are just starting out on your journey. You guys probably don't even realize your divinity in the supernatural sense. Like, you guys got the confidence, you guys know you're a bag of chips and everything like that, but you might not really understand the true extent yet of what your spiritual gifting is, what your spiritual calling is, what your spiritual purpose is, which would also make it hard to be flexible because you're not quite sure what you're supposed to be flexible with. What are you doing? And if you have a lot of people creating a bunch of hullabaloo around you and you're not taking care of yourself, you're going to be really exhausted. Not to mention, if you're just starting on your soul journey and you're just starting your mission, starting your new business, starting your calling, it takes a while. Anything that you have to build generally takes time. It's kind of like a birth. You're pregnant for 9 months. It takes time to create the child. It takes time for it to develop and the form. Just like you will take time to come into the fullness of your giftings. You will take time to come into the full manifestation of who you are supposed to be operating as. It may take some time for your business or whatever it is that you're called to do starts to physically manifest. But then you also have the Eight of Hearts with the Reiki, and it shows leveling up through your chakras, starting with the root all the way up to your crown. And with it being underneath, be flexible like the octopus, which is in reverse, that's telling me that in order to help you guys become flexible, you guys need to be grounded. You guys need to be lined up. You guys need to be centered, not only on yourself physically, but spiritually. You need to make sure physically you are eating right, drinking right, hygiene, moisturization. Like, there's this call for self-love, and I have a feeling a lot of you naturally do that. You're naturally confident, naturally, take care of yourself, but it's like an extra bit of TLC, a little bit more tender, loving care to help get you through. When you're grounded and all your chakras are lined up, fully functioning, cleansed, healthy, and happy, you reach that Christ-like consciousness with perfect unity, clear thought. Your mind is renewed, your body ends up being renewed. And when you're really grounded and you're really done right, and you're really on point, you can almost, I don't know how to say it other than it's like you can almost feel your cells dividing and rejuvenating, on their own. It's like you're so tuned in to yourself and your creator that you can literally feel your body transforming. It's a wild thing. God is always on time is right underneath. Avoid the whirlpools of emotion. For to get caught up in one is to drown spiritually. Another thing is, when you're waiting for God, it can be tedious sometimes. It can be frustrating other times. Other times it can be very scary. A lot of times he'll give us instructions, to start, but he won't give us anything else. And he won't give us anything till we obey. And a lot of times we want it written out like a map quest, directions. And God doesn't always work like that. It wouldn't be a faith walk if we knew everything in advance. So I have a feeling there are things that are being hidden from you right now as well. You're not allowed to know everything. You might not have everything that you need just yet. But with that being said, God's timing is always perfect. And if he's telling you to do something now, then you should do it. If he's telling you not to do something, then don't do it. Obey him. Follow your gut. You really do know when he's talking and when he's not. Your dream walker is also here, and that ties in with being a veil dancer. If you're a dream walker, then you're almost always a veil dancer. But if you're a veil dancer, you're not always a dream walker. And here it's saying that you're both. which means to be a dream walker, you literally can interact with people in their sleep while you're asleep. You literally are able to, your dreams are so real that you're not sure if it's actually a dream anymore, because when you get to that point as a dream walker, you might be what the church like to say, like transfigured, like you can go to different places and locations in your sleep. All right. And if that is part of your calling, then honey, you really will need your rest. You really need to take care of yourself. And part of that is the mind. You really need to take care of your third eye and your crown chakra and your root chakra, throat chakra, as well as your root chakra. Because if you're afraid of your gifting, if you're afraid of your power, if you're afraid of, flying at night, I went flying over waterfalls. I've ridden on the backs of alligators, in my dreams. And it is very scary and unnerving, but if you're operating in the state of fear, it'll shut this down. Okay? So you really need to trust yourself. You need to trust God. And you need to be flexible, like the octopus says. All right? And you have You're My Life. Ooh. All right, well, we're going to take it. You got an extra one. The seahorse says to remember that parenting is a joint task. Share the load. With this, you might be in a relationship, and you might, the image that comes to mind is there's a couple fighting, just stressed out with life. One, you both, on a level, you both feel like you're my life, but neither one of y'all feel that the other person thinks that. Okay? Let me see if I can say that better, because I know what I'm seeing. But to translate that, there's a couple that you both love each other. Like, for both of you, the other is your life. But I have a feeling, one, you have different love languages, so there's a misconnection there, and you're not interpreting your partner's language of love. And because you're not getting their language of love, you're not feeling loved, and you're feeling like they don't love you. You're not getting what you need. And I feel like it's vice versa for them as well. There is a misunderstanding. Like, you sense the love that you have for each other, but it's not there. So if you love presence, and that's how you identify love, is by getting gifts, and your partner is somebody that is a doer and a helper, and the way they show love is by doing your laundry, there's going to be a misconnection. Washing your drawers is not going to tell you that you feel loved. But going out to dinner or having a new book that's in your favorite genre, that would make you feel loved. In the same aspect, some people don't want anything. They just want the words, I love you. They need to hear that. But they could be with a partner that never grew up in a home that said words like that, that talked like that, that was comfortable and vulnerable like that. So they'll never say it to you. But they might actually have the gift of helps as well, and where they want to help. Or they might have wanting to spend time. They'll spend time with you, but they'll never say, I love you. If you understand your partner's love language, that'll help a big heap. It really will. That miscommunication is huge. And if you're having that misconnect and you have children, that gets a little frustrating, because then you start feeling isolated and you start feeling like you're alone in the relationship, and then you feel like all the job is on you, especially if one of the parents are staying home. Like back in the day, it used to be the women that stayed home all the time. Now, men are staying home as much as women are. And it's easy for either one of them to feel like they're doing it all by themselves, because the other partner's outside having a great time at work. They have co-workers. They're eating out at lunch. They get to go places, see things, meet people, strangers on the street, and the other partner's stuck at home with diapers or dirty laundry, the mop and the broom and the bucket, and they feel trapped, they feel stuck. And then you have the other partner like, well, you're lucky because you get to stay home and watch TV all day. And the other one's, well, you're lucky you get, like, there's just this big misconnect, I feel. I really do. And if you have these giftings of you're a dream walker and you're a veil dancer, you're going to be a little more sensitive of heart. You have to be sensitive to different spirits when you're traveling. You have to be sensitive to different entities so you can protect your spirit, protect your soul from demonic attacks and things like that. And if you're having these issues, being sensitive, it's going to keep you from being able to flow right. It's going to keep you, because you're going to be worried about your partner. You're going to be worried about the mundane things of the home. And I really feel like you're supposed to be focused more on your spiritual aspect, your spiritual health. But at the same time, don't neglect those who are in your corner supporting you. So if you are in a relationship and that is your story, step back and give your partner another chance. Just step back and look. All right. Ask them, actually. And if you don't know what your partner's love language is, just ask them, what is it that makes you feel loved? They might not even realize that there's multiple ways of showing love. They just know that I feel loved with this. Maybe if you open that conversation, that'll help. Communication is key, though, in any relationship. But with parenting here in the seahorse, and for those of you who are not familiar with the seahorse, the men actually give birth for the women. The women, the men take in the eggs and they fertilize them internally, and then they give live birth. So keep that in mind with these gender specific, it's really weird to say that, gender specific roles that society has ironed into our fabric. There's a lot of men that have a natural gifting for nurturing and home care. Okay, Leo, it cut me off again, so I'm going to do a quick recap the best I can of where I left off at. With the seahorse and You're My Life, for whoever this resonates with, if you're in a relationship where you're struggling with parenting and co-parenting, just remember the roles of parenting are gender neutral, okay? Just go with the flow. It's about the children. It's not about y'all. Don't get caught up all in the emotional stuff. Don't get caught up in the stuff that you see on TV and Hollywood. That's just smoke screens and everything for ratings and publicity. That's not reality. The reality is children need a peaceful place to reside. And if we can't get it together as adults, then it's really bad for the kids, all right? But just know that you guys, from what I'm picking up, you both love each other equally. You're both each other's life. You both love each other. It just feels like there's a misconnect with the love languages and communication. All right, you had the Nine of Swords, Ace of Cups, Justice, and Two of Swords fall out. So when Nine of Swords fell out, it was flipped over like this with the Ace of Cups showing, which tells me that you're either hiding the true fear of what's going on with your giftings and everything else, or you're putting on a strong front, or it's like a Gemini thing where you're going to get your blessings, but at the same time you're worried about it not coming through right. So take that how it resonates. I can see that in 3 different ways. The Justice and the Two of Swords. The Justice ties in with your bowl is cracked, leaking the resources. Justice is coming to you. God will restore everything that you have lost along your painful journey and your hard strips. With the Two of Swords, you need to have blind faith with this journey, with this path that you're starting, with this calling that God has you on. Blind faith. All right? blind faith. But you do need to decide. You need to decide whether you're going to be in denial of your divinity and who you are and going to ignore the calling and the unction in your gut, whether it's starting a new business, whether it's being like a spiritual leader in your community. You also got Two of Cups here underneath You're My Life and the Bull and the resources. Okay, and since You're My Life also with the Seahorse comes up underneath resources being slowly drained, I do feel like whoever is working outside of the home feels like they might be taken advantage of. All right, so take that how it resonates. But I do get that you both love each other very, very much, especially with the Two of Cups here. You are my life, like you're the sun and the moon for each other. There's a seahorse, you know, it's you guys, togetherness, unity. Love doesn't see gender roles, okay? It doesn't see gender roles whatsoever. But Leo, what I'm seeing for you is that you're being called out. You're getting activation and promotion for some of you who are already activated in your spiritual giftings. Suggestion with the Reiki to get yourself grounded if you're not grounded, to stay grounded if you are grounded, and if you're not grounded, you can get Reiki treatment or any other spiritual healing treatment that works for you, or however you choose to get connected with your creator. Because when you're connected with him, your chakras will automatically line up. But not everybody knows how to connect. Some people, it's like a long lost friend for them. You know, it's a little awkward at first to get started. So whatever method works the best for you, just hop on it. If you're being told that you need to do something, but you don't have all the resources or tools at hand just yet, God is always on time. All right. So don't panic. Don't get caught up in those whirlpools of emotion. Stay calm, stay steady, stay grounded. Your resources will come right on time. God will hand them right to you. Everything that you need will come through. So stay out of your head, because God will take care of you. All right. It's just going to take blind faith, and you're really not alone. Okay, Leo? You're really not. All right, I'm going to try to merge these two videos. If I can't get them merged, I'm just going to have to give y'all two separate videos. That way you guys can actually have it, because this will be the 4th time, 5th time, 6th time. I'm starting to lose track as to how many times I've tried to record y'all's video. All right, Leo. I'm going to go ahead and pray for you guys now at the end. I wanted to make sure I was able to get the reading out. So, Father God, bless Leo. I feel the good things that you have coming for them and the opportunities that are in store for them. And I feel their nervousness and their fear about it. And I remember for me how it was when you first started dream walking with me. Father God, I ask that you just wrap them up in your heart. Just hold them tight to you and let them feel your love. Give them a peace that passes all understanding, and relax their mind so that they can be flexible and go with you through the Spirit. Father God, we thank you for never leaving us alone, for always being a helpmate to us, whether we have one on this realm or not. Thank you also for always being on time, even when it doesn't seem like it. We thank you and we praise your holy name. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, Leo, have a good one. I'll check in with y'all later.